Well, up first this evening on Taking Stock is George Mienie. He is Chief Executive of AutoTrader. Used to be South Africa's best-known magazine when coming to dealing with second-hand cars. They closed the magazine in 2017, fortuitously. Now, they all went digital and online. And I'm hoping, for your sake, George Mienie, that has paid off over the last 3 years.
Well, thank you for having me, Bruce. It definitely has, whether fortuitously or not fortuitously. I suppose we find ourselves in a time where being a digital business is a positive thing. So closed it in 2017, and hopefully, we can look back on that in 2021 and say, well, that was good timing.
I mean, you are the Alibaba or the Uber or the Airbnb of car dealing, because you don't own the cars. You are the facilitation. You're the platform where people can advertise their cars. And cars are bought and sold, and you make money as the go-between in that transaction. What have volumes been like? I mean, are people buying and selling cars at the moment?
They definitely are, Bruce. So, it's a good description. We are the Airbnb of the automotive world, and that middleman that joins the buyer and the seller, or introduces the buyer and the seller. And from the magazine days, very quickly we could publish maybe 10,000 cars in that magazine, when we all know that the market is made up of many more tens of thousands of cars. So the digital world has allowed us to be about 20 times bigger than we ever were in print. So fortuitously, or as we mentioned in the beginning, I think that is a good thing, because we're able to reach scale. Now, with AutoTrader having reached scale in classified listings and now fast becoming a marketplace, I think the data that we sit on paints a nice picture, which is a proxy for the market. And we all know that the used car market is about over 2 times bigger than the new car market, especially in today's times. So I'd like to think that AutoTrader's data, being at scale, is able to be that proxy, for used car buying and selling trends. And if I had to answer your question, it's booming. People are buying used cars more than they ever have before. In July, we grew by 55% in visits to our platform.
Visits is one thing. I mean, I've been to your platform and I haven't bought a car. Not ever. Last time I bought a car was, I don't know how many years ago, because I'm a cheapskate who likes to live vicariously. Lots of people go to browse and to shop around and to have a look. They don't necessarily actually transact. What's happened to levels of transactions?
Well, that is exactly right, Bruce. You might be browsing a website, and that's why I say putting a website head-to-head based on traffic could be a vanity metric, because at the end of the day, it's what translates into the sale. We have seen inquiries to dealers selling cars increase year on year by north of 15 to 20%. So that traffic increase of 55% is translating through the funnel to inquiries to car dealers. And then you might ask me the question, well, how are car sales going themselves? How many cars are dealers selling? That has taken a knock in July, but it is growing month on month from May into July, June, July, and now into August. That is a growing trend of transactions actually taking place. I mean, we've got things that are holding us back, like finance approvals potentially, where people have lost their jobs or their incomes have been halved, and we're a car-faring nation. We don't have a good public transport infrastructure, and a new car is under pressure because the consumers are tightening their pockets, and they're going for used car, and we're in this perfect storm of a nation that has to drive.
So when you look at the fact that then you see an uptick in second-hand car sales, has that happened in this particular crash?
It definitely has. Like 2008, 2009, we're seeing a very, very similar pattern of behavior. There's 3 things that are happening. The first thing that's happening is new cars under pressure and consumers are opting for used. And then within our data itself, besides the big growth numbers that we're seeing, consumers are also searching for sub 200,000 Rand cars more than they ever have, which then shows a consumer that's potentially under pressure. It doesn't mean that the 3, 4, 5, 6, 700,000 rand cars are not growing, because they are. But I suppose there's a lid to every pot, and people find themselves in different financial pressures, no matter where you are on the lifestyle scale.
But when we look then at demand in that segment, the below 200,000 Rand segment, I mean, there must be desperate sellers in this market, people who have unfortunately lost their jobs or their circumstances have changed and they've suddenly realized they need to get the best possible price they've got for a car. Have you seen desperate selling? I mean, is it possible to gauge the difference between a desperate seller, and a really desperate seller?
I think there is definitely pockets of desperate sellers. I mean, in the data itself, the only thing we can point to is price deflation or price inflation. If we have price deflation, that is an indication that there is desperation, because used car prices would drop. And we saw that in May. We saw price deflation of negative 4%. Cars were being undervalued or underpriced in the marketplace. We saw that turn around after June, and now used car prices are growing at single-digit 1% rates, which still shows me pressure, because it was growing pre-lockdown in the mid 2% in terms of price inflation. So the fact that it's close to 1% shows me that there is that financial pressure or desperation still.
Is there anything in the world called a deal anymore? I mean, we can all have access to prices now. If we go online and we love a beige Toyota Corolla 1.6, whatever the model might be, we can go and find an accurate price for a beige Toyota Corolla 1.6 with low mileage and new tires, for argument's sake. We can all have access to that information. Is there such a thing anymore as a deal?
So when it comes to price, there's fast becoming no such thing as a deal. And that is, in my opinion, because of the transparency of the internet. Exactly what you alluded to. The transparency of the internet creates or causes price to become almost commoditized. Because it's all transparent, you can't go down the road and get necessarily a better deal than what you're getting from one dealer to the next, because every dealer, as well as every consumer, has sight of every price out in the marketplace. And the really good sellers are saying to the consumer, this is the best deal you're going to get, because you won't get a better price, but I'll give you all these other things. And so very fast, the deal is becoming less about price and more about value.
What's the difference? What is the difference? I mean, what is value in this world?
Value in this world is, being able to take the car back if there's a problem, getting extra warranties bolted onto the car, which effectively is a reduction in price because it costs to warranty that car. But the ticket price of the car is not necessarily the place that transparency allows people to play with.